Hi everybody, Dan Illman, Matt Bernier, the DRFBets race of the day for Friday, May the 10th, race number 6 at Santa Anita. We are going 1 mile on the turf for Calbred fillies and mares. It's an optional claiming race, $20,000 the purse, non-winners of one other than the condition. Remember to play this race with your DRFBets account. Bet $7 to win on any one horse in any race of the day this month. If your selection finishes second or third, you get your money back. Learn more at promos.drf.com. Let's meet the field for Friday's race of the day. You can access free formulator past performances for this race on the Race of the Day event page at drf.com. Download them, handicap along with us. We'll take the field in post position order, beginning with the number 1 Smoothie. And Matt, the Royal Heroine was a tough spot coming off the maiden win.
Yeah, I would say so. Being thrown to the wolves, a horse like Vasilika, who's just an absolute machine right now. A tough ask for first time against winners for a horse like Smoothie. Having said that, you go back and you look and see how the Royal Heroine's form is stacking up. Leaves a little bit of something to be desired. You've had 3 horses come back and run out of that, 75, 82, and 78 buyers. So maybe it wasn't a sort of spectacular graded stakes race, still better than what she's going to face here in this spot. I will say, though, the field that she beat when she broke her maiden 2 starts back, that's an absolutely dreadful field. I think she's going to need to run the race of her life to win here.
But she earned a 79 buyer last time out. That's better than the par for this class level. You mentioned the gigantic drop in class, not only out of an open grade 2, but back into state-bred non-winners of 1. She draws an advantageous post position and has the tactical speed to work out a mid-pack trip. Smoothie might be running the right way, but boy, that was a tough race last time out. The number 2 is Drop the Mic, and it's nice to see Drop the Mic actually start twice without another layoff line. That's been the problem with her career. She's 4 years old. She's only raced 4 times. Phil D'Amato excels with second off the layoff horses. Look at this formulator fact over the last year. Older turf routers go second off the bench in an optional claimer, 43% winners, 372 return on investment. And the horse that finished second in that last race came back to win with a 77 buyer at this level. That was a key race. I'm expecting Drop the Mic to move forward, and she just needs some pace.
Yeah, it was a pretty solid enough race that she ran against anyway, the field considering. Both she and Be Lifted Up, who we'll get to in a little bit, they both got in a little bit tight down the front stretch the first time, and I think perhaps they got a little bit farther back than would have been ideal, especially Drop the Mic, who basically dropped to the back of the pack, and she came with a sort of even enough effort, considering that was her first start off the layoff in a few months. I think you're going to get a forward move here. The question is it enough of a forward move to win?
Number 3 is Hotitude, and we talked about how Drop the Mic and some of these closers might need some pace. Hotitude is expected to make the pace in a red bar situation, according to Timeform US, which means there might be a fast pace. We have not seen Hotitude in over 4 months. This is going to be her turf debut. Not much data on the sire, 0 for 4 with first-time turf runners. The dam was unraced on the turf. There's not a lot of grass in this pedigree. But I liked Hotitude's race 2 starts back at Los Alamitos. Maybe it wasn't the strongest field in the Soviet problem. I thought she took heat with a couple of other pace rivals, finished best of the pace rivals. I'm just wondering if a mile is really her game, though.
Yeah, because you see, that's the only time that they stretched out was that 2-turn race at Los Al. And Cookie Gal, say what you will about that field as a whole. I think she's a decent Calbred. The interesting thing here for me is going to be, you brought up the turf. There doesn't seem to be a ton in the pedigree. And like you say, the mile, perhaps that's pushing it a little bit. I think she's going to be forwardly placed. I think you just go, you put her on the engine, you say, come and catch me. The problem is, for her and some of these other girls, I think there's a fair amount of speed in this race. I tend to agree with the pace projector, and I think it could end up setting up for horses coming from off of it.
The number 4, Scathing. We see her in mid-pack. She is a 7-time winner. Last time out running 5 furlongs, so this is a pretty big stretch out in distance. She has won at the mile distance in the past. The problem is you've got to go back over 3 years, and it was over a synthetic track at Golden Gate Fields. They have concentrated on sprinting this mare. I have a feeling they've been doing it for a reason.
Now, I was going to say, perhaps stretching out will help her, but I think she's been kept to those shorter distances for a reason, because that's actually what she does best. Look, it's hard to ignore the fact that on grass, she is 0 for 4 going this mile distance, and overall, she's never hit the board in 8 lifetime starts on grass. It's just a difficult one for me to recommend.
Moving on to Be Lifted Up, another one going second off the layoff. You mentioned her as she comes out of the Drop the Mic race. This was her first start against older company. She's a 3-year-old filly with a lot of upside potential. 2 starts back, I thought she might have gotten the right setup, going 6.5 down the hill at Santa Anita, and there's another one that has to prove that the mile is really her game.
I thought she was just a little bit flat at the end of that race. Now, perhaps she was a little bit closer to the pace than the other filly that we spoke about exiting that heat, but let's also be honest, they were both coming from the back of the pack. I didn't love the way that she finished. It is nice to see Flavien Prat stay aboard, second off the bench from Mullins. Maybe she takes a step forward.
Let's talk a little bit about Setamar, another horse going second off the layoff. I thought this horse ran pretty well in her first start against Winners, the runner-up coming back to win a little stakes race up at Golden Gate Fields. This is another one that needs some pace up front, but I thought that was a really solid effort last time out, first off the bench. You look at this pedigree, a mile is not going to be a problem. She's already won at the distance. It's all about pace.
Yeah, it's all about pace, and that's why I'm hopeful the pace projector is accurate. I hope they do go an honest one. So this one gets something. Now, look, this filly had some pace to run at in that most recent run, but I like the fact that it was against a decent field. You brought up Kitty Boom Boom, came back and earned a 76, winning that next little stakes race. And that was the first start since the beginning of November. So I'm going to hope that this one probably going to take a step forward here, second off the bench for Shelby Ruiz.
Pied and True has not stepped on the turf since May of 2017, faced some sharp open starter allowance foes that day, but she's 2 for 22 lifetime. She hasn't won a race since October of 2017, and she's yet to crack the exacta on the turf. And as a 6-year-old, I'm just not sure where the improvement is coming from. Maybe we see some stretch out speed.
I like Matt Chu. I think he does a good job. This is a filly or a mare at this point, I have a difficult time making any kind of argument for.
Lost in Translation showed no rust coming off a long layoff last time out. That was kind of a tough spot for the first race in 11 months. They put her in against the boys. She set the pace. She, I thought, finished pretty gamely behind the Street Fighter. I thought she galloped out okay. This is a horse that when she won back in January of 2018, she just got a really perfect trip, saving ground in behind the pace, easing out in between horses, and just getting the bob. Beaten favorite in her subsequent 2 starts, which preceded the layoff. If she can just run that last race, she's going to be very tough. The question is, did Richard Baltas have her really cranked up for that effort? And is there any more in the tank second off the bench?
I think the other good thing about Lost in Translation here, as well as she ran against the boys in that most recent race, that was when she was out on the engine. Note that her only win came sitting off of a target. I think you're going to have that more of a running style where you revert back to sitting off, letting somebody else go out there. Probably going to end up being Hotitude, maybe some other horses that want to go early on, stretching out in distance. You also brought up the field that she ran against. I mean, the Street Fighter, the 87, the 4th place finisher, next out winner with a 78. I think she's the class. I think she's the it horse right now.
Marjorie E. 5-month layoff for Marjorie E. going out for the Paddy Gallagher barn, a barn that's had a tough time at this Santa Anita meet, but Marjorie E. ran some figures as a 3-year-old that would compete with these horses. Her last race wasn't very good, but again, it preceded the layoff. She was 7-2 that day. I'm willing to throw that race out. Her start 2 starts back, that's 78, showing good tactical speed, puts her in the mix, but the layoff worries me a little bit.
Yeah, who knows if she's going to be ready to go off the bench. You see Bejarano has the mount here. I think she could work out a good trip in here, similar to the trip that she had when she won that starter allowance. What was that, 4 or 5 starts back at this point? I think she's an interesting sort of underneath candidate. I don't know if I love her on top in a spot like this. I'm definitely using her, though.
Gallagher also has Miss Voluptuous, who might be the one to push the pace of Hotitude in the early portion. Another horse coming second off a short layoff. She pushed a quick pace last time out, and she paid the price in the stretch. All in all, I don't think it was a bad performance, but don't you just think a similar situation is coming, pressing a fast pace against a decent field?
Yeah, absolutely. The outside draw, I think Drayden Van Dyke, you want to be the one pushing as opposed to cutting out the fractions. Having said that, she is lightly raced, so it's too early to make a definitive statement, but her only win so far in gate-to-wire fashion, I think she has to take up sort of a pace-pushing sort of trip on the far outside. And again, I expect another fast pace. I don't know if it works for her.
Completing the field is Kennedy Sky, the 11. We're closing in on 2 years since Kennedy Sky's most recent victory. The best thing we can say about her is her running style. She is a one-run closer, and if you believe the Timeform pace projector as we do, she should get an honest pace. And that's something that if you look at her Timeform US past performances recently, she hasn't had the benefit of. Slow-paced, blue color-coded races in her last 2. Maybe she gets the right pace this time, and maybe this is the kind of horse, you know, just really brighten up the supers.
I was going to say, to me, I'd be using underneath with sort of that one run from the back of the pack. If the pace is hot, maybe you get a small piece of this. If you're a weight fan, you also get 7 pounds with the bug up.
Let's take a look at our top picks for Friday's DRFBets race of the day. You're going with the lightly raced Setamar. Nice win at this distance, 2 starts back. Came off the layoff with a good run. And what I liked about that layoff run was she improved her Beyer 13 points. I think there's another forward move coming, and if there is, she's right there.
And she did have some pace to run at, I'll admit that, but I like that she was basically put to a drive just inside the half-mile pole, and she stayed on nicely. She was spun wide off the far turn, and I don't think she was embarrassed in there. I'm hopeful for a forward move second off the bench. For me, it's 6-8 Colden here.
Matt's going 6-8. I'm going with the 8 lost in translation. Just a rock-solid effort last time out. And as Matt said, she has the ability to sit off the pace. So I think a good trip is coming. Maybe in the second flight, she'll attack, try to get the jump on Sedamar, and maybe try to hold her off. I'm going 8-1-6 in the Friday DRFBets race of the day. Make sure to bet it with a DRFBets account. Bet $7 to win on any one horse in any race of the day this month. If your selection finishes second or third, you get your money back. Promos.drf.com is where you go for all of the information. Approximate post time for the 6th at Santa Anita on Friday, 3:30 Pacific. Best of luck.